Yo, yo, yo! Hey, hey, guys. Let me know if you can hear me, and let me know if I'm clipping or not. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Hope everything is well. Yeah, so how's the gain on that thing? So let's turn down the gain on the mic. Bear with me for a second. Doop, 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 doop. Hello, hello, testing, testing. All right, that's better. All right, how you guys doing? Hope everything is well. Yeah, if you haven't already, give me a thumbs up on the subject at hand. So first thing we do is you let me know where you're from. So we got real songs from London, UK, from Knoxville, Tennessee, from Australia. Hey man, Terry, how you doing? Hope everything is well. Welcome to the stream. The exception state, Brazil, very good. Hey, I'm very good. I hope everything is good with you. Yeah, let me know where you're from, Pankaj. I hope I said that right. We'll see what up. Yeah, so, yeah. So, thanks for the no worries, man. HTMX is the way. I think I looked at that a little while ago. Could be. Glad I could help. Yeah, so if you're new to the stream, welcome to stream, Code Long and Profit. Let me know where you are from. Let everybody know where you're from in the chat. Expat from Alabama, living in Mexico. Very cool. Argentina, Siberia, Canada, Ottawa. Oh, wow. Neighbor. Yeah, normally I'm in Montreal, but I'm spending the next several months here down in Delray, Florida. I'm scouting out the territories, you know? All right, so let me just jump into the subject, and then we'll do some Q&A. So a few times people have asked me about React, what I thought about it. Was it getting too busy? Was it too messy? So I'm not a React developer. I looked at it years ago, but I've been a developer for 30 years. So I have you do anything for 30 years, you're able to look at something pretty quickly in your field and assess what's going on. But I went searching on the webs and I wanted to see what React developers were saying about it. And I think there's some important lessons there. So from Brazil, living in Orlando, very good. San Francisco Bay Area. All right, so Nebraska, let me just jump to it and then we'll do the Q&A. So I found this piece. Here it is. And we'll take it from there. So let me get rid of this. Hold on a second, guys. I'm just configuring. I got my laptop here, so I'm not used to this small screen. I ordered a couple of monitors. Well, company's sending me a couple of monitors so I can do our little thing. So yeah, before I get into it, just make sure, can everybody hear me? Just say, I think so. Just want to confirm. Ruby, testing. Can you guys hear me clearly? Let me know. I'm not using my professional rigging here, so hopefully it sounds clear to you guys. So let me know in the comments if it does sound clear. And yes, if you do like the subject or the stream, give me a thumbs up. If you hate this stream, give me 2 thumbs down to show how much you hate me. Yeah, so I'm just waiting for you guys to say loud and clear. All right, we got one. Marco, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. All right, so I think Marco is good. I think we can go into it. So there's a piece I found, and it's kind of representative of some of my thinking about things. So I'm just going to skim it, and then we'll get into the commentary. So he says, last week I attended a debug developers conference where my company held a booth. The idea was to have a change my mind kind of setup where we represent a radical idea, invite people to debate with us. So we go on. First of all, he starts off, he likes React, that's cool. But he goes into here. This is where it gets relevant. What happened after React gained popularity was a mess. It started a new trend in the community where everything revolves around hype, novelty, and creating, and the new paradigm shifts. Every few months there were new libraries emerging, new standards of how we should write React web apps, yet solving problems that were, for the most part, already solved. Let's take state management, for example. Since React is missing a traditional dependency injection system, DI is achieved through component composition. The community had to solve the problem on its own, and it did, over and over again. Each new year brought a new set of standards. So yeah, I've seen this phenomenon before in the Java world, where they started just going crazy, evolving things, adding new things, and people would have an issue with some sort of implementation in terms of, what do I mean by implementation? They would have an issue with how things were done, and they would say, no, we got to do it this way. And it became a mess. So anyway, let's just go on with React. React is just a rendering engine, and in a typical web app, you need many libraries to build a framework or for a project, data layers, state management, routing, asset bundlers, and more. The ecosystem behind React gave you too many choices of the sort, which fragmented the tech stack and caused the infamous JavaScript fatigue. Yeah, that's something kind of, let me get here, hold on. There we go. That's something about JavaScript. JavaScript is, there's always new libraries, whether it be React or whether it be something on Node. It's quick. And everybody who comes out with a new package or a new library, they're always telling you, oh, you got to learn this. This is the way you got to go. This is what you got to learn. Sometimes that may be the case, but it's more of a rarity. But again, this is a common phenomenon you see in development. It's not unique to JavaScript, but apparently, well, in the JavaScript world, it's pretty pronounced. So one of the trends that also emerged was framework comparison obsession. JS frameworks were constantly compared with properties like rendering speed and memory footprint. This is irrelevant most of the time because a slow app is caused by slow JS. It's not caused by a slow JS framework. It is caused by bad code. Again, something I've been saying for a long time, I've been teaching people. You've seen great apps written in almost every framework, every language, even Ruby. And yes, there are problems with every language, there are problems with every framework, but these days they're all pretty performant, you know? So don't get too caught up in terms of what is the ultimate language, whether it be JavaScript, Java, PHP, Python, what is the ultimate framework, what is the ultimate library. I wouldn't get too caught up in that because it really depends on the project, number one. And number two, like I said, they're all pretty performant. What you're going to find, I always found, is let's say I was working in the JavaScript world, and I said, oh, you know, JavaScript, I don't like its weird behavior, I don't like its method overloading, blah 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 blah. So I look at Java, and Java is a much cleaner, more structured version of JavaScript. So I go, wow, Java's great. So you go over to Java, and then all of a sudden you find you have a whole bunch of other problems in Java that you didn't have in JavaScript. It's always greener on the other side of the fence. So when you're looking at technology, you always have to consider it in that regard. Hold on, so let me go back up here. I'm wondering how it is possible for a library to be the most relevant skill on an average web developer CV. Even worse, it's not even a library, but a module inside that library. React hooks are more often mentioned as a skill as opposed to some actual skills like code refactoring and code review. So there you go. That's something I've been talking about for years. Refactoring is one of the fundamental skills that every developer should learn. So once you've gotten your fundamentals down, you know, the basic language courses where you learn the basics, you know, with methods and functions and arrays and variables and basics of data types and so on. Then you want to get into two different things. Number one, refactoring. Very important. Refactoring is a process of cleaning up code. And there's some seminal books on that. I have links below. One is for JavaScript, one is for Java. It's one of the few books I kept from the 90s was my Java version of refactoring. That's how important a book it is. It's universal. And the other thing is design patterns. You want to learn design patterns. So before I would learn a new library or a new framework, I would learn basics of refactoring and the basic primary design patterns. Design patterns are just established ways of how you would build code, how you would write and structure your code. You know, for example, Java is object-oriented, but you can still mess up Java and make it very, very brittle. So anyway, so he brings up a few other points. He considers important. I agree with this guy for the most part. How to make simple and readable code, yeah, that's very important. How to manage state, again, state management is basically when somebody's surfing to a site and you want to track who they are. A classic example is a shopping cart, right? They add items to the cart and then go to the next page, and go to the next page. You want to identify who this individual is as they go from page to page within the site, but you also want to track what they put in the cart, right? So there's different ways of approaching that. How to test your code. Again, he's talking about QUnit. I guess it's something used in React world. In Java, it was JUnit. One thing I have to say about code testing is it's something you should do only after you have your first version of your app out. Reason being is that if you start putting in a bunch of unit tests in your code with your version 1 untested, you're going to be writing a lot of extra code and rewriting a lot of extra code, because what you're going to find is you're going to have to start restructuring your app in significant ways as you get feedback from the users. Well, how to release your code, again, that's more important with groups. How to write reviewable code, that comes down to simple code, in my opinion. How to build solid project standards. Yeah, when you're writing code, something I teach actually just in my Python, even my basic HTML and JavaScript code, you want to establish protocols and standards in the way that you write your code. The code has to be, so the way you declare, down to the way you declare your variables, the way you create your functions, whether you have an inheritance path or you use interfaces and composition. So you have to establish this protocol so that people will know what to expect when they're reading and writing code in your code base. How to review other people's code, that's a skill. How to find your way in any JS framework. So let me address that, how to find your way. As a professional developer, you're going to have to learn to learn quickly. So it's very common that developers are going to move from language A to B to C many times in the same company. So for example, one guy in my mentoring group, he came in at 40-something years old, no background technology. In fact, he was a chef. And he started out with, he did my core stack, which is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, Python, SQL. And then he was enamored with Django, Python Django. And so he was doing that, working with Django. Django is Python's MVC framework. If you didn't know, it's their framework, their web framework, server-side. And then, so he was enamored of that, and he was doing work with that. And then he found himself, he had a job offer to do Python Django, but he didn't want to have to move. So anyway, long story short, he ended up he was working full-time for multinational now as a PHP Drupal developer, of all things. So he started out with the basic web, then he did WordPress, did Shopify, and then he did Python Django, and then he found himself doing PHP and Drupal, and he's making good money there, working at a big company. So you never know. Well, it's common. You're going to switch up all the time. How to build MVPs, minimum viable product, that's something I talk about. I've talked about that. Basically, you want to get it out as quick and dirty as possible. It's the first version. You just want to get it out. Messy code is not super important at that point. But anyway, how to optimize, but not too early, not too late. Yeah, optimization. People, when it comes to web apps, most of the optimization is in your database access. As the least amount of queries to the database as much as possible. Having a well normalized database I'm talking about relational databases here. So they're called normalization. Is just the process of cleaning up in your database tables so that they're very efficient. And I won't get into here. How to pair program, okay. How to continuously refactor. Remember I was talking about refactoring? Yeah, refactoring is, again, it's the process of cleaning up your code. It's something you do all the time. And when you develop an eye as a developer, you'll start seeing, oh, this code I wrote here, it works, but it's really pretty messy, and it's going to be confusing and hard to update. So let's refactor that, let's clean it up. So you learn to do that. So when you learn when you learn how to do the basic refactorings, as described in the book I have linked to below, then you'll be able to identify these things, and then you'll be able to prevent yourself from creating bad code that needs to be refactored in the first place. Anyway, that's it for that piece. I'll put a link to it after this stream is over. There you go, guys. I hope you found that interesting. So the main problem that this author was citing about React was that it's a typical JavaScript thing. Too many new inventions. Oh my God, we gotta fix this problem. There you go. But here's the good news about all this web stuff, by the way, as I've been saying, it's pretty much plateaued. Like in terms of the concepts and how we do things, these things have pretty much plateaued since, I would argue, 2015, maybe 2014. It's pretty static. So if you learned how to write web apps in 2014, 2015, 2013, even, for you to jump into it today, let's say you just fell asleep and you woke up today, it would be pretty easy for you to jump into it. It hasn't changed too much. This is a big change from the early days of the web back in the 90s, where every year it would change radically. Radically. I remember a friend of mine, he's pretty big into the web in the mid to late 90s. He stepped away for about 2-3 years and he came back and he was flabbergasted at how different it was. So much had changed. Those radical changes in the web stack and in development they're largely gone now. All right. Now we're going to jump into some Q&A. I hope you found this presentation interesting. If you did, give me a thumbs up. And yeah, I'll answer a few questions. How are we doing for time? 18 minutes, not bad. We got through it quick. All right, let's go. Let's move up. All right, sounds good. Okay, that's good. Glad everybody could hear me. All good, good. So, Javi G from New Zealand, very cool. Merci encore Stéphane pour cette session. Chana 999, that translates into thank you very much, Stefan, for the session. Michael, I think people just want to complain no matter how good things actually are. Well, it's kind of new. It's like, I'm guilty of it too, right? You get into something that you're new at and you're looking for the best. You're looking for that advantage, you know? For me, it's like last 5 years, with cameras. I was like, oh, I gotta get this camera. I'd start buying this camera, I would buy that camera. And I'm buying $14,000 cinema cameras they use to shoot Netflix shows. I'm just doing YouTube videos. I sold that one. Then I got another one for $7,500. Anyway, so now that I'm traveling, I got this entry level full frame camera. It's like $1,500. Not expensive compared to my other stuff, and it shoots. It's fine. It's fine. I'm using like a $50 mic as opposed to a $500 mic. You know. When you get good in any subject, whether it be coding, design, business, videography, when you start to understand it, you start to realize that the tools, not super important. Same thing with coding, you know. An old laptop, a 5-year-old laptop was fine these days, and they're so powerful. Any of the languages, the modern languages, are fine these days, except for Ruby. Forget about Ruby. I'm just joking about Ruby. Ruby's fine. All right. What are the pros and cons of coding a website in C++? Never do it. Never do it. You would only use C++ in the context of the web if, let's say, you have some huge amount of data processing you got to do. C++, its main advantage is that it's super fast. And then you would create a library with your C++ code, and then you would access the output of that library with a higher level language, like a JavaScript, like a PHP, like a Python, like a Java, like a C#. So yeah, C++ is not really a language for web development, not at all. Hey, Rani, what's up, Uncle Stefan? Finally catching live. Hey, cool. Well, thanks for joining the stream. Code long and prosper. This is the official hand salute of the stream, by the way. I borrowed this from Star Trek. So anyway, I don't hire developers unless they can do this naturally. This is like the secret handshake or the secret wave of the nerds. If you can do this, especially double guns, you're set to go. Okay. Hey, Fizz, man. Hello. Oh, some old faces. Hey, Steph, are you still in Montreal or did you go to the other side of the border? I am now on the other side of the border. I'm now in Delray Beach, Florida. I rented a place here for the winter. Nice place. And yeah, I'm just trying it out, see how it is, you know. All right. King Fu. Hello, Uncle Stefan. What do you think of the current state of Kotlin and mobile development? Well, I think when it comes to Android, Kotlin is king for development. Even Google said it must be 2-3 years now, I guess. Don't use Java to write your Android apps. So I think there'll always be a place for Kotlin, and you could also write your Java server, as far as I understand, with Kotlin as well. So I think Kotlin has a pretty good future. I don't think it's going to become any more dominant or any bigger than it is now, but I don't think it's going to fade away anytime soon. Kotlin is to Java as is Swift is to iOS. Prior to Apple's Swift language, which is just designed to be lighter, nimbler, easier, just like Kotlin was designed to be lighter, easier, nimbler. It's kind of replaced, like Swift has replaced Objective-C, which is the traditional language to develop iOS apps in. It's just a lot easier. So yeah, Kotlin's cool, man. Go Team Drupal. Yeah, Drupal is one of the demanding CMS for enterprise. Yeah, Drupal is used quite a bit, believe it or not. The biggest in the world in terms of content management systems, CMS, is WordPress, of course. And I believe Drupal is number 2. There are others out there. Craft CMS, one of the guys in my mentoring group is big on that one. What was the other one? It was done in Java back in the day. It will come to me. Anyway, but the 2 you should pay attention to for small sites, small projects, small business, WordPress. For larger, if you want to get into content management, Drupal is something to consider. Apparently the Drupal community is pretty good. It's pretty good. John Bailey Training says, I'm learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, working on the latter currently. People have told me to learn React after JavaScript in order to get a job at coding front-end quickest. Solid advice. First rule is you can't lose by learning something. Even if you end up not using React, if you learn it, can't hurt, it will help. What I would do is once you finish your basics with your JavaScript, I would look around at the job opportunities, see how many React jobs are there, and take it from there, okay? How's my camera doing? Maybe I should have brought my professional camera. This one's heating up. Do nerds over-obsessed about code quality and architecture? I see Symfony devs constantly crap on Laravel for its facade shortcuts and not being proper bad code. Yeah, some nerds will over-obsess. Also, you have different opinions, right? Some people will think that this is crap and somebody else will think, no, it's actually quite good. So, you know, Symfony and Laravel are both good. We use Studioweb is my app, my SaaS app is built on top of Laravel. It was built on top of CodeIgniter before that, but we switched over to Laravel because it was the best one at the time. Yeah. Kevin, how are you? Good evening from Lakewood, Florida. How are you doing? I hope everything is well. Okay, next question. Any advice on types of projects to do that is backend engineering focused for a backend engineering role? Currently learning Python, then plan to on JavaScript and Go. Well, if you do the back end, you have to know at least the basics of the front end. So you should be comfortable with HTML5, comfortable with basics of CSS. You don't have to be a master at it. Comfortable with front-end JavaScript and the DOM, how to manipulate the DOM. Then you can start work on the back end. I would do those three, build a site, and just do some basic CRUD stuff, like build a simple app to log into a section that's password protected. That's a good start. Okay, we got that one. I remember optimizing back in the day for IE6. Oof, yeah. Back then, we did not have a lot of options, and now the problem is the opposite. We have just too much. My advice is to focus on the important things. I agree, Marco. Marco's old school like me. IE6. Inner HTML. You got to give Microsoft that one. What are some AI tools you're using in development for your project, especially writing code, etc.? There's so many. I'm going to put out a video on that. There's so many. I haven't evaluated them all, not even close, to be able to give you an assessment about which one is best, whether it be Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever. I know that even PyCharm now has AI built into it. So many editors have it built in. One thing you have to do as a developer with regards to AI, I've talked about this in a recent video, you have to be aware of the landscape. You don't have to learn everything, but you have to be aware of the landscape in terms of what the basic tools are, code editing, APIs you can access, especially if you're getting into freelance and you want to be able to offer AI integration into people's websites. So you got to get out there. Hey, Real Songs, how you doing? Welcome to the stream, Code Long and Profit. Are we doing okay? Good. Just finished a client website that's rated 100% in Google page speed and all aspects. Good job. Didn't expect to learn so much new things due to this exercise. Yeah, Tom West, comment of the evening. Why? Because one of the things I tell people over and over again, you don't want to become a perpetual student, doing tutorial after tutorial, learning framework and library, because the fastest way to gain skill, you get your fundamentals and then you start building sites. You start building real projects. That's what we do in the mentoring. My mentoring program, a shameless plug, UncleSteph.com. Check out the link below. I can't believe I got UncleSteph.com. Actually, that domain was available. Anyway, so I got UncleSteph.com. That was serendipitous. And in my program, I teach people, and you don't have to be in my program to follow this advice. You learn your basics, and then you start building things, real things. This is going to force you to learn a lot, just as Tom just did. It's much better to build a website, even a simple website, than to do some other tutorial, okay? Lucky you, it's been snowing here in Montreal the last 2 days. We are freezing. Enjoy the sun. Oh, yeah, Fizz. No question. That's why I got out of here. I drove down, actually. I bought a brand new car, well, SUV, specifically to come down here because it's self-driving. And if you're curious, I got the GV70. First time I got a non-German car, but this is better built than the German cars. It's more luxurious, better ride, great self-driving capabilities. When you're on the highway, it's doing 99% of the driving. It's not nearly as good as the Tesla self-driving features, but it's still really, really good. It's a game changer. It makes road trips a snap. Pancage, I think I said that correctly. Well, since I already know a lot of Java, I'll try to ship a few Android apps with it, learn the SDK, then move onto Kotlin. Hope your recommendation isn't the contrary to learning Kotlin immediately. Why not? If you know Java, the hard part about writing apps, not the language, right? It's not learning the language. It's understanding the SDK, understanding the environment, understanding Android. So yeah, if you know Java easily, just drop into Java, do some Android stuff, and then when you're starting to get familiar with Android, then jump over to Kotlin. John Bailey trading. Yeah, no worries, man. Cheers. Wow. Laravel being prosper or not is or isn't a fact. What fact, though, is that Laravel is hugely used, and that tells a lot. Oh yeah, Laravel is, oh, I think you meant to say proper or not. Excuse me, I said prosper. Laravel being proper or not is or isn't a fact. That's not important. Yeah, the fact is it's used quite a bit, and that tells you a lot about Laravel. It is possible to know everything in your technical interview but still get a job. I had great soft skills. It is possible to not know everything in your technical interview but still get a job. I have great, yeah, 100%. A friend of mine just got a job, well, about a year ago. It was a year ago. And he got a job at one of the big ones, one of the huge companies we've all heard of in the AI department. And he actually failed the technical. He bombed it. But they knew he knew what he was doing, and he had very good communications, good soft skills, that he got the job. One of the number 2 thing that companies look for is soft skills in developers. It's not talked about enough. I, in fact, put together a course called Lizard Wizard, teaches you about the 2 operating systems of your brain, specifically because of that, because I knew it helps people develop their soft skills. In Florida, there's no white Christmas. I like snow, and I wouldn't give that up. I hear you. Uncle Steph teaches Python. I do. Check out my Python. My courses, shameless plug, are very different from anybody else's. They're not just video. They're interactive. Very different. Totally different experience. I guarantee you, you will learn Python, JavaScript, PHP, SQL, HTML, CSS3 much faster with my courses than you would otherwise. It's Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio, people don't know, is Microsoft's IDE, code editor rather. Microsoft has always been really good at code editors. So yeah, it's a very good choice. Just kidding, any modern idea will be more than enough. That's also true. I'm messing with HTMX right now. Yeah, I looked at it. It looks interesting. Niche language. It may get traction. I don't know. I think you missed my question. What are some AI tools you're using in development for your project, especially writing codes, etc.? Right now, the only tool I messed around with is ChatGPT to boilerplate some stuff, to check it out. Although I made a lot of mistakes. I've used, what did I use? I used one of the built-in AI tools in a code editor. I think it was Copilot. I don't code every day. In fact, I don't code much these days because I run things. So, yeah, I'll have to get into it. Fancy German car, la-di-da. Yeah, they break though. They're beautiful, but they break. I was tired of having to go to the garage all the time, you know. Making a website for someone, but now I don't know what to do for the back end after that. Where do I even start? It's a company website. Well, it depends. It depends what you want to do. Like the easiest back-end language to get into by far is PHP, because you don't have to do any app configurations, and you just upload the pages, boom, and they work. So that's the most approachable. I would say, Ray, check out my PHP course because it's going to teach you about the back end. And every lesson in there can be applied to Python, it can be applied to Java, it can be applied to Node and JS. So check that out. It would be great to hear if any of your students are now working in some FAANG company. Yes, actually on this live stream, I think he was a Google guy. He worked at Google. He learned from me. One of my students, he actually started a 1.5, now it's worth 1.5 billion. He is one of my early mentees, and he's on video. He's a founder. So he's got a 1.5 billion dollar company, and I trained him up in code and in business. Hey, Steph, I'm a medical student, but doing something creative like web designing attracts me the most. What should be my strategies to master the skills? Thanks. Just do a little bit every day. Start baby steps, allocate 20 minutes a day minimum. That's enough. 4 or 5 days a week. Man. Once every few days, maybe put in an hour. I know you're probably very busy as a medical student, but start writing a little code, and you'll see, comprehension will start to happen, and you'll start to be more and more productive. Why does company gives importance to soft skills? Like, isn't the good technical skills enough? No, bijao. Because when you are working at a company, you are in the company of others, and you have to be able to communicate with others effectively, especially in software development, because you're dealing with very complex things, very complex subjects. Some people will get into fight over how much, what coffee they order at Starbucks, and that's pretty simple. So imagine you're in a situation, there's a lot of pressure, you got to get the app out, or you got to fix the bugs, and you got to be able to communicate clearly, succinctly, and with empathy, so you don't piss off people and people could understand what you're talking about. Those who get ahead in the development world really are people with really good soft skills, good communication skills. So yeah, you have to have technical skills, but you add decent technical skills with great soft skills, this person is going to go, whew, is going to do really well. You have, on the other hand, somebody who's amazing technically, but really bad soft skills, they're going to have trouble. That's just the fact of the matter. We are a species that's very communicative. Anyway, we talk to each other. So that's our strength. So yeah, you have to learn the soft skills. Guaranteed. Check out Lizard Wizard. It will help you a lot. Hey, if you don't like my courses, anybody, you get a refund. No risk. Oh, by the way, I do have a Discord. We got about 3,000 people. Link below. Join the Discord. It's free. There's a good bunch of people on there. A lot of people you can talk to. We got some people they got good coding skills, so you can learn from them as well. Maybe do some collabs on some projects, How we doing here? Oh, okay, guys, I have to do it. We have 73 concurrent users, not bad. But we only have 35 thumbs. The thumbs to users ratio is no good. No good. We got to get, if you don't mind, please give me some thumbs, It's good because it just tells Google that the stream has some value, Yeah, okay. Steph, are you behind the hype of Vim Emacs? Seems overwhelming for me, yet the feeling of FOMO is always there. Yes, FOMO, fear of missing out, is very, very much a big thing. No, I used it a little bit. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. Listen, thanks for the thumbs, everybody. I appreciate it. Vim Emacs has been around forever. People like it, love it. It's just a tool, man. If you like it, use it. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. Yeah. My friend who has a $1.5 billion company, he's never used Vim or Emacs. So, take it for what it's worth. It is common sense to build web apps with frameworks nowadays, or should you always consider a from-scratch solution? How to evaluate the question? That's a good question, Blue Sensation, and I will answer. If you're building a very simple static website, 5 pages, 10 pages, you're not going to change it very often, then you don't need a framework. That's stupid. That would be dumb to use a framework. If, on the other hand, you're building a full web app with a lot of functionality, then you should use a framework. My top 3 rules of coding are: rule number 1, reuse. Uncle says reuse code. Always reuse code. Number 2, reuse. Number 3, reuse. The last thing you want to do as a coder is write code. You want to use libraries, you want to use frameworks when it makes sense. And again, it comes down to complexity. If the site's simple, don't use a framework, do it from scratch. If the site is very complex, then don't do it from scratch. I hope that makes sense. Uncle Steph, looking for advice. What to learn after React? Is it TypeScript, Node, or MERN? I would learn the full stack. So that means Node to me. I would learn the full stack because it opens up opportunities, more opportunities, that's all. Will AI replace computer scientists? No. Well, eventually, I suppose, but not in the near future. How do I also need to memorize things or just practice? Just practice. Reading articles or something like that. Just practice. Write code. The most important thing you can do when learning to code is to write code. Write code, and you want to get as real as possible. It's kind of like dating. When you start dating, the best way to get good at dating, like the opposite sex or same sex, whatever you're into, is to actually go out and date and make mistakes. Not to read articles, not to go on Reddit, just date. And you'll make your mistakes and you get really good at it. I used to be a boxer. I used to fight. Did it for a long time. And I used to tell people, you want to become a fighter, you fight. You want to learn to fight, you fight. That's it. Just fight. You want to become a coder, code. Comprehension, meaning understanding the concepts of code, doesn't come from studying. It comes from writing the code. When you write the code and you get it working, and then once you get it working, you break it on purpose, see what happens, and fix it again. This is going to get you to becoming, it will get you to comprehension so much more quickly than if you read 100 books or watched 10,000 videos. You want to write code, write code, write code. That's why I don't put out all kinds of new tutorials, because once you learn your fundamentals well, you can learn React on your own like this. Once you learn your fundamentals well, you can learn a framework like this. You can learn, you know what I mean? So there you go. Easiest way to understand algorithms as a toddler. I don't understand I understand mostly data structures and regex, but I'm trying to challenge my mind. But trying to do challenges, my mind goes blank. Waste of time with the algorithm challenges. Oh, I know it goes against the grain. It's a waste of time. Build things. Build things. When it comes to especially web apps, the complexity is really in the structure of everything, in database access and optimal queries. Forget about that. Algorithms only come into play if you are doing game development, gaming engines, or maybe you're doing processing big data or something. But I would just get into that when it comes. Don't waste your time, in my opinion, doing algorithm games. Just do it. I bought the Lizard Wizard course. That's my course on the brain, by the way. Even with 15 plus years experience, it really shows you a different perspective and helps you to be independent in learning. 10 on 10, Steph, you're a really good mentor. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that, Marco. I appreciate that very much. That's cool. I like it when people leave reviews about my material. I got new stuff. New Lizard Wizard is coming out. I don't know, did you do the Lizard Wizard KOMODO training session I put out? I'm coming out with new Lizard Wizard KOMODO. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it. I might call it Gold Dragon. So we'll see what happens. Hey, it's going to be real cool. Elbow cough. All right. I guess that's it for the questions. If there's no other questions, what can I say? So I'm trying to do more streams, as you can see, now that I'm down here in Florida. And there we go. If there's no more questions, I'll let you guys go. We've been on for almost 40 minutes. Here's the last question, and then we'll move on. Is it possible to make a hole in the world with only full stack, with PHP and everything is just vanilla? Sure, why not? Some of the biggest apps in the world were created that way, you know? Don't obsess over that. Don't obsess over what you're using. Just try to build something. Follow the principles of clean code, learn to refactor, learn the basic design patterns. One hidden advantage of learning a framework is that it teaches you how to structure apps in a way that's pretty robust and agreed upon, you know? Hey, Rudy, how are you? Rudy will be the last one. What are your thoughts for the new year 2024 about software engineering? I guess SE, that's what you mean. I think it's going to continue to be fine. I think I would, again, after you learn your fundamentals, I would start poking around a little bit the AI world to understand how AI is influencing things. AI will not replace coders, but it's going to just change the game. What was your best business decision? Ooh, that's so hard to answer. That's so hard to answer. I've been in business even longer. I've been in coding professionally. I started working on my first business when I was 17. I was 18 and really got going. And my net worth at the time was $200, and I just built it up. I think one of the best decisions I made was to sell my first business. To sell my half anyway. That was a very good decision. Yeah, another best decision to make business-wise was, and here's a lesson for you guys, life experience for you guys. Instead of if you're thinking about your career, instead of being concerned about languages and so forth, consider how you like to spend your days. Like when you wake up, do you want to get up early in the morning and go into work? Do you want to put on a suit and tie? Do you want to you want to work with a big team? You want to work solo? You want to work with a small team? Think about these things. Do you want to work like long hours and push through, or do you want to be more strategic in how you spend your time? Think about, like, really get fine-grained in terms of how you like to spend your days, you know? And that will help you decide your career path. This is what I did. This is what I figured out decades ago in my, I guess, mid-20s. And I was freelancing for a while. And at that point, I started considering how I wanted to live, what I needed to do. And when I came to my conclusion, it was outlandish at the time for most people. But it's since become like the nomad developer, doing freelance, building SaaS products on the side. Everything that I talk about and teach is sort of came up with that concept because it fit my lifestyle. It fit my psychology quite well. The last time I worked for somebody, I was 18 years old. I was a bouncer in a nightclub. And I remember once, it was in 1998, I went and interviewed at this very big company for a lead. They called it a webmaster position at the time, but it was head of the web department. And I went in for the interview, and they would take me to the department heads, the other department heads in this pretty big corporation. And when I started talking to the people, it was not an environment I enjoyed. It was not for me. So I actually fired them halfway through the third meeting or something. I said, all right, this meeting is over. This interview process is over. And they were like stunned. I said, I'm out of here. That was the last time I even considered corporate. But that's me. I know people who thrive very well in corporate environments. So you have to decide what's good for you. So think about how you like to spend your days. That's much better than thinking about trying to determine what language you're going to use. Because in reality, you're going to be running around doing different languages over time. All right. Yeah. Check out my Discord, link below. It's free. There's a lot of people on there. You can continue the conversation. I'm going to start participating once more again on the Discord as I am doing these lives. And I had some issues I had to take care of, so I had to stop the lives, but I'm back. All right. Thanks for joining the stream. Code long and prosper, everybody. Code long and profit. We'll talk soon. I'll leave you with my video of Maine. Ciao.